So this is, let my people go, and oh freedom.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go.
Let my people
paint? Do you compose? Do you cook, right? Can you imagine what it feels like to me to sit at home by myself in what my wife calls my composer cave, which is a condo, which is 3 stories, and I literally go down into the basement. I do have a window out there, and sit with this and write and compose. And I'm grateful to God that I have that gift, because I can't do what Eric does. I tried to do his job the year before he came to my church almost 20 years ago, the first time, and I say, Eric, I don't know how you do it. But to hear these singers, and if you can imagine multiplying them times, what? 10. More, yeah, 10. I may have to sit in the balcony because I may just be floating up to sleep. Let me read you something that has meant a lot to me, and you can find this. I encourage the singers. I went to a few board meetings. The Atlantic, I just happened to see this in the airport gift shop in Baltimore, Maryland. I had a conference, a choral conference for church choir directors in Hanover, Pennsylvania, which is only 10 miles from Gettysburg. And I did not get to Gettysburg because I was on such a tight schedule. But I saw hotel signs that said Lincoln slept here. Hanover is a beautiful town and historic town. And so many of the battles happened in Maryland, as you know, in that arena. And this was, and I said, well, I need to get this. So I bought it. And I put it in my briefcase. I still this is the special commemorative issue on the American Civil War. Classic Atlantic stories by Mark Twain, Henry James, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Frederick Douglass, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Louisa May Alcott, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and more, a lot more. So we may do a part 2 for Eric's going down. But I bring my wife her coffee in bed. That's the only thing I do right in my house. And we've just been reading some of these. And I just ran across this. I don't have it on the page I meant to have it on. It's not the Gettysburg Address. But it's about Lincoln's, let me find it. Hold on, I'm sorry. It's so organized, and I'm going to hum through this. And I did not know that Lincoln actually visited Richmond. Richmond fell on March the 4th or 2nd, and the Confederates left town. Appomattox was April 5th, the next month. Lincoln was assassinated. That was, by the way, Palm Sunday. It was Holy Week. Lincoln was assassinated on Good Friday, 5 days later. But there was this visit he made to Richmond, and his boy Tad was 12 years old that day. It was his 12th birthday. And they don't have the photographs, but they're paintings of, I'll just tell it from my memory of reading it. He was holding Tad by the hand, and he came under, it was a surprise visit. No one knew he was coming. And, you know, in those days, people didn't know who he was. They only knew pictures, but the word traveled very fast that it was Lincoln. And there were a group of freedmen who were slaves just 24 hours before. They were property of the Confederacy. And they were working on some lumber in the harbor. And Lincoln came in, and the word traveled. They said, that's Abraham Lincoln. And these men who were working, who had been slaves, the account in the Atlantic is from a war correspondent who was there. And his name is Carlton something. And so this account is directly from his account of seeing Lincoln stroll the streets of Richmond. And he said it began with those men working on that harbor. And then, as he came through the streets, the word spread, and he actually used the dialect in his report. President Lincoln has come. President Lincoln has come, and people, the slaves, former slaves, came from houses, children, women, and they made a throng and shouted, "Glory, glory, glory." And it moved me, and to hear this, and to think that our 13th and 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution gave African Americans freedom. The middle one, to me, is the most important. The 15th is the right to vote, which in the South did not happen really until 100 years later, during civil rights, for those of us who remember. And I grew up in the Deep South, in Arkansas. My great-grandfather was a captain in the Confederacy. But the 14th Amendment, Frederick Douglass talks about, in this issue, the right of citizenship. He said, Frederick Douglass was born a slave in Maryland and became educated. And as you know, probably, he went on to write many great essays on abolition and became an advisor to Lincoln. But to think that African Americans, the Dred Scott decision, which had been handed down in 1857, when this magazine started, said no person of African ancestry can be a citizen of the United States, nor can, and then Dred Scott, who was owned by a doctor and traveled in various freed states, could not gain his freedom. And I thought about just the pure thing that we take for granted as citizens of a country, that African Americans neither were Africans nor were they Americans. And so this, that all of this enlightenment came out of this conflict. And it was not only an example to the world of how democracy should thrive and grow, but how its people should be treated equally as citizens. So I'm just sharing things from my own heart that are still growing from the privilege of working on this. Now, Eric, I asked Danny, I had an idea. The next piece is "O Captain, My Captain," which is the poem by Walt Whitman written when he heard that Lincoln had been assassinated. I had a few challenges in getting to this point in the work because, you know, what a terrible epilogue to the war that President Lincoln was shot 5 days after it was really the surrender of Robert E. Lee's army, but it was the end of, there was Joseph Johnston surrendered on the 26th later. And I wrote, I'll tell you, just for those of you, you won't hear this in the Tennessee Theater, I'm not going to talk about it from that stage. But I tried to tackle Lincoln's assassination in a different way. And I presented it at a board meeting, and they never said, "No, we don't like that." But it just didn't feel right. And Eric and I talked about it. Eric never said, "That doesn't work." But I sensed that there was a better way to handle it. There's no narration in the work. We wanted it to be through song so that the music and the words are all coming from here to be sung as an intuitive work of art for the choral society instead of narrative, which would easily fill in gaps. So, I don't want to take up all of our time, because you've got 2 more big pieces to do, and I could talk all day, so this will be it. So I've asked Danny to play what happens at the surrender at Appomattox. It segues into the to "O Captain, My Captain."
We could sing it.
Well, no, you can't.
Well,
Are you sure you have the music? Oh, I would love to hear it. You don't mind?
It won't be quite as polished, yeah, but, because then we'll go right into
Okay.
"O Captain, My Captain."
The bugle call will be used from, you'll recognize the bugle call when it happens, and so I'll let the music speak for itself. But I called Eric and I said, "Oh, Eric, I think I may have it." And it was an emotional thing for me to put it in this way. And I was so amazed at how cordial, and as I read of Grant and Lee, the recollections of Grant and Lee's conversation, And again, I think, if we're going to get to hear it, it will speak what, it was a surprising emotion. It was very solemn and yet dignified. It's finally over. All this